There are moments in life when a single voice can stop the world, a voice so pure and powerful that it touches every heart in the room. For Malakai Bayoh, that moment arrived when he was just a child, long before he could understand the price fame and talent can demand. Born in 2010 in London to Sierra Leonean parents who had moved to the United Kingdom in search of safety, stability, and opportunity, Malakai grew up in a modest home filled with warmth, faith, music, and community support. From a very young age, his mother noticed something extraordinary in his voice. She recognized a rare quality and potential in every note he sang and encouraged him to join the choir at St. George's Cathedral in Southwark. Under the careful guidance of choir master Scott Price, Malakai learned the discipline of music, the structure required to perform, and above all, how to communicate emotion through song. These lessons, simple as they might have seemed, laid the foundation for what would become an extraordinary journey. By the age of 7, he had already begun to catch the attention of local audiences, but the wider world only noticed after a school Christmas performance of "Oh Holy Night" went viral. Millions of views poured in, and it became clear to everyone who saw the video that Malakai was not an ordinary child. He had something far beyond mere talent, a gift that made people stop, listen, and feel. From that viral moment to stepping onto the stage of the Royal Opera House in November 2022 for his solo debut in Handel's Alina, portraying Oberto, critics began describing him as a prodigy. At just 12, he was performing duets with Welsh tenor Led Jones, blending voices that captivated millions worldwide. His rise seemed unstoppable, and when he auditioned for Britain's Got Talent in 2023, expectations were high. Yet, few could have anticipated the challenges and heartbreak that lay ahead. Malakai's Britain's Got Talent audition was a moment of wonder, not just for his skill, but for the maturity and confidence he displayed at only 13 years old. Backstage, his family worked to keep him calm, his mother giving last-minute reassurances, his sister cheering him on with pride and love. On stage, facing judges Simon Cowell, Amanda Holden, Alicia Dixon, and Bruno Tonioli, Malakai transformed from a shy boy into a commanding presence. Choosing to perform Pai Jesu by Sarah Brightman, a piece known for its complexity, was both daring and ambitious. From the first note, the audience fell silent, captivated by the purity and control of his voice. Judges, usually experienced and sometimes reserved, were visibly stunned. Alicia Dixon appeared speechless. Bruno Tonioli froze in awe, and Simon Cowell, typically blunt, leaned forward and uttered the single word that would define the audition: golden. The golden buzzer elevated Malakai to the semifinals instantly and sent a wave of social media attention across the world. Overnight, he became a household name, hailed as the angelic voice of Britain's Got Talent. Yet behind the applause and confetti, a quiet burden began to form. Fame, even at a young age, carries pressure, expectation, and scrutiny, and Malakai, like many child prodigies, had to navigate these for the first time. The weight of public expectation, coupled with the rigorous demands of the semifinals, began testing him in ways no one watching the show could see. The semifinals marked another step in Malakai's journey, one where talent alone was not enough. He chose to perform O mio Babino Caro by Puccini, a piece requiring exceptional technical skill, emotional depth, and stamina. At this stage, the pressure was unlike anything he had experienced before. Vocal coaches and mentors treated him as if he were a seasoned professional, pushing him through long rehearsals, refining phrasing, breath control, and emotional expression. For most children, such scrutiny would be overwhelming, but Malakai poured his heart into every session. His performance stunned the judges once again. Bruno Tonioli called him a gift from God, Amanda Holden praised his bravery, and Alicia Dixon described feeling spellbound. The voting public responded overwhelmingly, pushing him directly into the finals. Yet beneath the triumphant smiles and praise, the reality of his youth became starkly clear. Malakai was carrying burdens meant for adults. The pressure of living up to expectations, managing social media attention, performing under scrutiny, and maintaining schoolwork, all while processing emotions he was too young to fully understand. The stage became a place where joy and grief coexisted, and every note he sang carried both the weight of hope and the vulnerability of a child. Then came tragedy, the kind that no child should endure and that few adults can fully bear. Days before the Britain's Got Talent final, Malakai received news that his beloved grandmother had passed away. She had been one of his earliest supporters, often sitting beside him as he practiced, encouraging him to use his talent to uplift others, and instilling in him lessons of courage, dignity, and strength. Losing her was a blow that shook the foundations of his young life. Rehearsing became almost impossible. The songs that had once brought joy now carried an unbearable weight. Producers and even judges offered him the option to withdraw from the competition, but Malakai, honoring his grandmother's lessons, chose to perform. He selected a song that held deep personal meaning, one he had sung in her presence. And when he stepped onto the final stage, his voice carried grief, love, and resilience in every note. The judges, moved beyond words, witnessed a performance that transcended music, a young boy confronting immense loss with courage, singing not just with skill but with the fullness of his heart. He finished fourth place, an achievement overshadowed not by disappointment, but by the emotional bravery he had shown. This experience forever altered his perspective on music, fame, and personal strength. In the aftermath of the show, many expected Malakai to retreat from public life, to grieve privately and recover from the immense emotional toll of the final. Instead, something remarkable happened. His loss seemed to deepen his resolve. Universal Music offered him a record deal, recognizing his extraordinary talent and maturity despite his age. In July 2023, he released his debut album, Golden, blending classical arias and contemporary arrangements. The album topped charts in the UK and the United States, demonstrating that his voice was not only extraordinary, but universally resonant. Collaborations with established artists, including Sir Carl Jenkins, further solidified his status as a prodigy with humility and emotional intelligence. Even music legends like Andrew Lloyd Webber acknowledged his potential, providing guidance on artistic integrity and longevity. Despite international acclaim, Malakai remained grounded, attending school in West London and balancing his studies with a rising career. This discipline, resilience, and commitment to his craft became as defining as his voice itself. Malakai's story is more than a tale of a talented child achieving fame. It is a testament to the power of resilience, the importance of family, and the transformative nature of music. The grief he endured at such a young age, coupled with the pressure of performing on a global stage, could have crushed many, but instead, it shaped him into a more empathetic and emotionally rich artist. The influence of his journey extends far beyond the stages he has performed on. Young musicians across the UK, inspired by his talent and perseverance, have sought to follow in his footsteps, joining choirs and exploring classical music with newfound passion. His story resonates particularly with the Sierra Leonean community, which celebrates him as a source of pride and inspiration. At the same time, he has learned to navigate the complexities of public life, fame, and personal loss with a wisdom beyond his years. What makes Malakai's journey remarkable is not just the number of stages he has conquered or the accolades he has received, but his ability to transform personal pain into art that connects with others. Music became more than a talent or a career. It became a refuge, a place where he could process emotions, honor his loved ones, and inspire the world. Even as international attention grew, he remained committed to education, family, and his personal growth, proving that fame need not compromise values or identity. This balance is rare in any artist, let alone one so young, and it marks Malakai as a truly extraordinary figure in the world of classical music and beyond. The journey of Malakai Bayoh also highlights the pressures placed on child prodigies. While audiences marvel at their talent, few consider the emotional toll of early fame. Malakai's story provides a lens through which we can better understand the intersection of childhood, public scrutiny, and artistic excellence. It reminds us that behind every viral performance, every golden buzzer moment, lies a human being grappling with emotions, expectations, and the challenges of growing up. In Malakai's case, these challenges did not diminish him. They enriched him, giving his music a depth that captivates listeners worldwide. His ability to perform through grief, to embrace pressure, and to continue learning and growing is a model of resilience and inspiration for artists and audiences alike. Malakai's rise, tragic loss, and remarkable perseverance offer a broader lesson about the power of human spirit, the importance of support systems, and the ways in which passion and dedication can overcome adversity. From a small apartment in South London to stages at the Royal Opera House and Royal Albert Hall, from viral school performances to international recognition, His journey is a testament to what can be achieved when talent is nurtured, discipline is practiced, and love and encouragement provide a foundation. It is also a reminder that while audiences may celebrate talent, the true story lies in the heart of the performer. The sacrifices, the struggles, and the triumphs that occur behind the scenes. In conclusion, Malakai Bayoh's story is one of awe, heartbreak, perseverance, and triumph. He embodies the extraordinary potential of youth, the transformative power of music, and the resilience of the human spirit. Through loss, pressure, and global attention, he has emerged not just as a gifted singer, but as a symbol of hope and inspiration. His journey reminds us that talent alone is not enough. It is the courage to face adversity, the humility to continue learning, and the strength to honor one's own path that truly define greatness. Malakai's voice may have captured the world, but it is his heart that leaves an indelible mark on everyone who hears him, proving that even in the midst of tragedy, beauty, hope, and purpose can shine through. Even after the release of his debut album, Golden, which soared to the top of charts in the UK and the United States, Malakai Bayoh's journey was far from over. While many might have expected a young prodigy to rest on his laurels, to bask in the praise of critics and fans alike, Malakai approached his success with a quiet determination and a seriousness far beyond his years. Every new opportunity, from invitations to perform at prestigious venues to collaborations with renowned composers and musicians, was treated not just as a career milestone, but as a responsibility to himself, to his family, and to the legacy of those who had nurtured his talent from the very beginning. The world saw him as a musical prodigy, a sensation whose voice could effortlessly convey emotion. But behind the scenes, he was still navigating complexities of adolescence, grief, and the extraordinary pressures that came with sudden international recognition. Balancing schoolwork with rehearsals, traveling for performances, and handling interviews required an extraordinary level of discipline. Yet Malakai handled it with grace, often crediting his family and his early training at St. George's Cathedral for keeping him grounded. Despite the constant attention, he remained remarkably humble, understanding that talent alone was not enough to sustain a lifelong career in music. It required persistence, emotional intelligence, and the ability to grow through challenges. Beyond personal discipline, Malakai became increasingly aware of the influence his story had on others. He received letters, messages, and drawings from young fans across the world, children who saw in him a model of courage, resilience, and dedication. Many wrote about pursuing music for the first time because Malakai's performances had inspired them to believe that age was no barrier to greatness, that even a young child could convey profound emotion and command the attention of thousands through art. Malakai began to embrace this responsibility quietly but purposefully, often visiting music schools, participating in workshops, and encouraging children to explore their voices and emotions through song. Each performance, whether in front of a small choir or a sold-out concert hall, became an opportunity not just to showcase technical skill, but to communicate a deeper message about perseverance, hope, and the power of transforming pain into purpose. Yet, even as he flourished in the public eye, Malakai faced private challenges that few could understand. The grief from losing his grandmother remained a quiet companion, surfacing unexpectedly in moments of solitude or during emotionally intense rehearsals. At times, the weight of expectations, both self-imposed and projected by the world, threatened to overwhelm him, and he had to rely on the support of his parents, teachers, and mentors to maintain balance. Music, however, remained his refuge. Each note he sang was a reminder of his resilience, each performance an homage to the lessons of love, courage, and dedication that had been instilled in him. Over time, Malakai learned to use his experiences, both joyous and sorrowful, to enrich his artistry, infusing every phrase with emotion that could touch audiences across cultures and continents. His journey became a testament not only to the power of talent, but to the enduring strength of the human spirit, a reminder that greatness is forged through a combination of hard work, guidance, emotional maturity, and the courage to face adversity with dignity. In this period of growth, Malakai Bayoh was no longer just a young boy who had captured hearts on Britain's Got Talent. He was becoming a symbol of hope, inspiration, and artistic integrity, showing the world that even in the wake of personal tragedy, a child's voice could rise with clarity, purpose, and profound emotional depth, leaving a lasting impact on everyone fortunate enough to hear Malakai Bayoh's voice travel beyond the borders of the United Kingdom. His influence began to extend across continents, resonating with audiences who saw not just a gifted singer, but a symbol of resilience and hope. International recognition brought invitations to perform at charity events, cultural festivals, and collaborations with artists he had long admired, each opportunity deepening both his experience and his sense of purpose. From London to New York, Paris to Johannesburg, Malakai's performances captivated listeners with a maturity far beyond his years, demonstrating that true artistry is measured not only by technical skill, but by the ability to connect hearts and emotions across language, age, and culture. He became particularly meaningful to immigrant communities who saw in his journey a reflection of their own struggles, aspirations, and the sacrifices made by families seeking a better future for their children. Sierra Leoneans, in particular, celebrated him as a source of national pride, often sharing messages and videos of his performances to inspire young people in their communities. Beyond formal concerts, Malakai began using digital platforms to reach wider audiences. Social media channels, carefully managed with guidance from his family, allowed him to share behind-the-scenes glimpses of his rehearsals, personal reflections, and messages of encouragement to aspiring musicians. These interactions revealed a thoughtful and humble young artist, conscious of the responsibility his visibility carried. Even as he navigated interviews, media coverage, and the pressures of sustaining public attention, Malakai remained committed to his education, understanding that knowledge and personal development were as important as musical achievement. Each classroom, each homework assignment, was approached with the same dedication. He applied to vocal exercises, proving to himself and others that discipline and balance are crucial to growth. At the same time, his experiences of grief, particularly the loss of his grandmother, continued to shape his artistry, infusing every performance with depth and authenticity that drew audiences into his emotional world. Critics began to note that Malakai's voice, while technically brilliant, carried a rare emotional intelligence, the capacity to convey sorrow, joy, hope, and resilience with each note, creating performances that were as transformative as they were inspiring. These qualities led to further opportunities to work with renowned composers, conductors, and orchestras, each collaboration teaching him the importance of humility, preparation, and artistic integrity. Even as the world offered him fame and accolades, Malakai's ambitions remained grounded in service, connection, and the transformative power of music. He expressed a desire not only to perform for entertainment, but to inspire, educate, and uplift, becoming a mentor and role model for young musicians who might one day follow a similar path. In interviews, he often spoke about the balance between pursuing excellence and maintaining authenticity, emphasizing that the most meaningful accomplishments are those that resonate with the human heart. By combining discipline, emotional depth, and unwavering dedication, Malakai Bayoh was carving out a future that promised not just continued success on stage, but a lasting legacy of inspiration, demonstrating that even a child can leave an indelible mark on the world through talent, courage, and heart. As audiences around the world listened to his soaring notes, they were reminded that greatness is never solely measured by applause or awards, but by the ability to lift others, to channel personal experiences into art, and to face adversity with strength, humility, and unwavering purpose, a lesson that Malakai embodied with every performance, and one that ensured his story would resonate long beyond the stages he graced. As Malakai Bayoh grew older, the challenges of adolescence became intertwined with the demands of public career, creating a delicate balancing act that few young performers experience. While his peers were navigating the typical pressures of school, friendships, and personal discovery, Malakai was simultaneously managing a life in the public eye, complete with media scrutiny, fan expectations, and the relentless pursuit of artistic excellence. Each day required careful planning. Mornings spent attending school, afternoons dedicated to vocal training, rehearsals, and practicing for upcoming performances, and evenings often filled with media appearances, interviews, or virtual engagements with fans around the world. Despite this overwhelming schedule, Malakai demonstrated remarkable discipline, often speaking about how his early experiences in cathedral choir had taught him the importance of structure, consistency, and patience. Yet, even with these skills, the emotional and psychological weight of fame was significant. The pressure to continually outperform himself, to meet the lofty expectations set by a Golden Buzzer audition, viral videos, and record-breaking achievements, was enormous. There were moments of doubt and exhaustion, times when the attention felt more like a burden than a blessing, and instances when he simply wanted the quiet of a normal childhood. Through it all, Malakai relied heavily on his family and mentors for support, drawing strength from the people who had nurtured his talent from the beginning. His mother and father provided guidance, reassurance, and reminders of his values, while his choir teachers and musical coaches helped him navigate the technical and emotional demands of performing at a professional level. In interviews and personal reflections, Malakai spoke candidly about the importance of staying grounded, emphasizing that success is not measured solely by charts, awards, or public recognition, but by the personal satisfaction of growth, the impact on others, and the ability to maintain integrity and humility in every endeavor. At the same time, adolescence brought natural changes in his voice and musical preferences, challenging him to adapt and expand his repertoire. He explored contemporary genres, experimented with classical crossover arrangements, and studied the works of historical composers to understand how to infuse his performances with originality while remaining true to his roots. This period of experimentation was crucial to developing a musical identity that was uniquely his own, one that combined technical mastery with profound emotional resonance. Malakai also became increasingly conscious of the power of his story, realizing that his experiences, navigating grief, fame, and the challenges of adolescence, could inspire and guide other young performers. He began mentoring peers, offering advice on maintaining balance, handling pressure, and using music as a means of emotional expression. Each encounter reinforces understanding that artistry is not merely about talent, but about character, empathy, and resilience. Despite the global attention, Malakai remained remarkably humble, often emphasizing the joy of performing over pursuit of accolades and the importance of connecting with audiences on a human level rather than simply impressing them with technical skill. His journey through adolescence, with all its complexities, shaped not only his voice but his perspective, teaching him lessons in responsibility, emotional intelligence, and self-awareness. Through these experiences, Malakai Bayoh emerged not merely as a prodigious singer, but as a young artist cultivating a sustainable career, grounded in purpose, passion, and the knowledge that true success comes from growth, authenticity, and the ability to inspire others through one's art. His story became a living example of how dedication, resilience, and heart can transform a child prodigy into a role model for the world, proving that even in the most demanding circumstances, a young person can rise to meet challenges with courage, creativity, and unwavering determination. A.S. Malakai Bayoh continued to grow and evolve as both a person and an artist. His influence began to extend far beyond the stage and the classroom, reaching audiences, aspiring musicians, and communities across the globe. He had become more than just a prodigious talent. He emerged as a symbol of resilience, hope, and the transformative power of dedication and emotional authenticity. Every performance, whether in a grand concert hall or a more intimate setting, carried not only technical brilliance, but also the depth of his personal experiences, grief, perseverance, joy, and the quiet determination that had been cultivated since his earliest days in his family home and cathedral choir. Malakai's story resonated particularly strongly with young people navigating their own challenges, proving that extraordinary circumstances could be met with courage and grace. Schools reported a surge in interest in music programs, choirs, and classical training, with children citing Malakai as the inspiration for pursuing their own musical journeys. Even the Sierra Leonean community, proud of one of their own achieving international recognition, celebrated his accomplishments as a source of cultural pride, sending messages of encouragement and admiration from all corners of the world. Yet, despite the accolades, the record deals, and the global recognition, Malakai remained grounded in his personal values, balancing fame with the responsibilities of childhood and adolescence. He continued to attend school, interact with peers, and nurture relationships that provided stability and perspective, recognizing that the support of family, friends, and mentors was as vital to his success as his talent. Over time, his artistry evolved to reflect a more profound understanding of human emotion and connection. Collaborations with established composers, conductors, and artists taught him the importance of humility, preparation, and emotional integrity, while also providing him a platform to influence the next generation performers. Malakai also began engaging in philanthropic efforts, using his voice and visibility to support charitable initiatives, music education programs, and organizations dedicated to youth development, understanding that his talent could be a force for positive change beyond entertainment. Critics and audiences alike began to recognize that what set him apart was not simply clarity or range of his voice, but the emotional intelligence embedded within each note, the ability to transform personal experiences into a shared, moving expression of humanity. His performances became lessons in empathy, resilience, and hope, demonstrating that music has the power to heal, inspire, and connect people across differences. Malakai Bayoh's journey continues to unfold, a story of a young person who has navigated extraordinary challenges with courage, discipline, and grace, transforming moments of personal tragedy into a source of artistic and emotional strength. He remains committed to using his talent responsibly, understanding that fame is not an endpoint but a platform to inspire, mentor, and uplift others. His legacy is already evident, not in trophies or chart rankings alone, but in the countless lives he has touched, the young musicians he has motivated, and the universal reminder that even in the face of loss, pressure, and expectation, a determined heart can rise, achieve, and inspire. As audiences around the world continue to listen, learn, and feel through his music, Malakai's story stands as a testament to the enduring power of perseverance, humility, and passion, showing that greatness is not measured solely by accolades, but by the capacity to move hearts, shape minds, and leave a lasting positive impact that transcends generations. In a world often focused on fleeting fame, Malakai Bayoh exemplifies what it means to pursue excellence with integrity, to rise above challenges with courage, and to transform personal experiences into something universally beautiful, a voice, a story, and a presence that will continue to inspire for years to come. Looking back on Malakai Bayoh's journey, from the modest streets of West London to the bright lights of the Royal Albert Hall and the global stage, it becomes clear that his story is more than just a tale of talent or fame. It is a testament to resilience, determination, and the transformative power of music. From a very young age, Malakai faced experiences that shaped not only his voice but his character. The guidance of a devoted mother who recognized his potential, the discipline and structure instilled through years of acquired training, the exhilarating highs of viral fame, and profound lows of personal loss that tested his emotional strength. Each of these experiences contributed to a young person learning to navigate a world far more complex than most children ever encounter. Yet, rather than allowing challenges to define him negatively, Malakai transformed them into sources of strength, using music as a channel to process grief, build confidence, and inspire others. His performances became narratives of human emotion, each note a reflection of joy, sorrow, hope, or perseverance, inviting audiences into a shared experience that transcended age, culture, and circumstance. Beyond the technical brilliance that drew critical acclaim, it was his emotional depth that distinguished him as an artist whose influence extended beyond the stage. Malakai's impact is evident not only in awards, album sales, or media recognition, but in the countless young people motivated to explore their own musical paths because they saw in the possibility of achieving greatness through dedication and heart. Schools reported increased enrollment in music programs. Choirs across the UK witnessed surges in interest, and communities around the world celebrate him as a symbol of what can be accomplished when talent is combined with resilience and humility. Yet, even with global attention and adoration, Malakai remained profoundly grounded, prioritizing school, family, and the values instilled in him from childhood. He demonstrated that balance, self-awareness, and emotional intelligence are just as important as vocal technique or performance skill, proving to the world that true success requires both excellence and integrity. Furthermore, Malakai's story carries a universal lesson that adversity, loss, and pressure, while challenging, can become catalysts for growth, empathy, and purpose when approached with courage and determination. His life illustrates that even at a young age, a person can influence, uplift, and inspire others, showing that greatness is measured not merely by accolades, but by the positive impact one leaves on the lives of others. In every performance, interview, and public appearance, Malakai continues to embody these values, reminding audiences that talent alone is not sufficient. It is the ability to transform personal experiences into something meaningful and share that creates a lasting legacy. His journey also serves as a poignant reminder of the role of family, mentorship, and community in nurturing potential, reinforcing that behind every remarkable individual is a network of support, guidance, and encouragement. As Malakai Bayoh moves forward in his life and career, the foundations laid through love, discipline, perseverance, and courage ensure that his voice will continue to inspire generations to come, not only through beauty of song, but through the enduring example of resilience, integrity, and hope. His story, from a young boy with a golden voice to a global symbol of artistic and emotional maturity, is one that transcends a world of entertainment. It is a narrative of human possibility, proving that with dedication, compassion, and unwavering courage, one can rise above challenges, touch hearts, and leave an indelible mark on the world that will echo far beyond the stage, the microphone, or the fleeting spotlight, serving as an eternal source of inspiration for anyone who dares to dream, persevere, and use their gifts to make a difference. As Malakai Bayoh's name spread across the world, another layer of his journey began to unfold, one that many young performers struggle with but few ever speak openly about: the overwhelming pressure of public attention. When his voice first went viral, millions of people celebrated him, shared his videos, and admired his performances, but at the same time, the growing media spotlight became both a blessing and a burden. Reporters, critics, commentators, and even social media influencers began to analyze every detail of his singing, his behavior, his appearance, and even his personal life, often forgetting that behind the talent stood a child who was still learning, still growing, and still trying to understand his place in the world. Some media outlets praise him as a once-in-a-generation voice, but others questioned whether he could maintain his level of success as he grew older or whether fame would change him. These constant opinions, both positive and negative, created pressure that no child should have to carry. Malakai, who had always been soft-spoken and thoughtful, sometimes felt overwhelmed by the sudden wave of attention he never asked for. Every performance felt heavier, filled with expectations from millions of strangers who believed they knew him. There were days he felt nervous before stepping onto the stage, knowing that a single mistake could be replayed, criticized, or turned into headlines. Yet what made Malakai special was not only his voice, but also his ability to cope with these challenges through patience, humility, and emotional maturity far beyond his years. His family played a key role, reminding him that media attention is temporary, but character and passion are long-lasting. They encouraged him to stay grounded by doing normal things: schoolwork, spending time with friends, playing sports, and focusing on activities that helped him stay connected to childhood. His teachers and mentors also guided him, teaching him that music was not about perfection but expression, and that critics, no matter how loud, could not define his worth or his future. Over time, Malakai learned to treat the media not as something to fear, but as something to manage wisely. He became selective with interviews, choosing conversations that focused on his music rather than personal drama. He also avoided the trap of social media obsession, a problem many young stars fall into. Instead of scrolling through comments or chasing approval online, he stayed focused on what truly mattered: his growth as a singer, a student, and a young man. He discovered that fame can bring opportunities, but it can also bring pressure, misunderstandings, and unfair expectations. Through this journey, he developed emotional strength and confidence, learning to speak up when overwhelmed and take breaks whenever the spotlight felt too bright. The people who work with him, conductors, vocal coaches, producers, and choir leaders, admired not only his discipline, but also his quiet resilience. They often described him as someone who listens more than he speaks, someone who processes emotions deeply, and someone who understands that true artistry comes from honesty, reflection, and authenticity. These qualities helped him stay steady despite the noise around him. As he grew older, the world began to see not just a talented young boy, but a thoughtful artist who understood the responsibilities that came with fame. He realized he had the power to inspire millions, but he also had the responsibility to protect his own peace and well-being. This balance between public success and private strength became one of the most important lessons of his life. It taught him that fame is not something to chase or fear. It is something to navigate with self-respect, discipline, and emotional clarity. Through this experience, Malakai Bayoh emerged not only as a musical star, but as a symbol of how young talent can survive and thrive in a world that often forgets the humanity behind the headlines. While audiences admired Malakai Bayoh for his breathtaking voice and calm presence on stage, very few understood the emotional world he carried within himself, a world shaped by pressure, grief, expectation, and a quiet loneliness that often shadows young performers. Many people believe fame brings nothing but happiness, but for children like Malakai, who are still discovering who they are, fame also brings confusion, self-doubt, and moments of heaviness that are not always visible to the public. The loss of someone close to him added emotional weight he struggled to speak about. During quiet moments after rehearsals, when the lights faded and the applause softened, Malakai sometimes wrestled with thoughts that he never shared openly. Questions about whether he could live up to the world's expectations, whether his voice would stay strong as he grew older, and whether the person he lost would still be proud of him. These moments of silence became some of the hardest parts of his journey, because for all the love he received from audiences, he often felt he had to appear strong, cheerful, and confident, even on days when he did not feel that way inside. Many young artists experience similar emotional pressure, but Malakai's situation was even more intense because of how quickly he rose to fame and how young he was when his life changed. The world saw him as a symbol of hope and beauty, but he still struggled with ordinary teenage fears. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of disappointing those who believed in him. His mother and mentors noticed these emotional burdens, and they encouraged him to express himself, to share his feelings, and to understand that vulnerability is not weakness. They taught him that it is okay to cry, to rest, and to admit when things feel overwhelming. Slowly, Malakai learned to trust the people around him with his emotions, finding comfort in conversations that helped him understand that his worth was not tied to a single performance or a single note. He also found strength in music itself. Singing became more than a talent. It became a form of emotional release. When he felt sadness, he sang softly. When he felt anxious, he practiced until the music washed away his fears. And when he felt joy, he used his voice to celebrate life, love, and the memories of those he had lost. Music became a language for emotions he could not express in words, a safe place where he could be honest, vulnerable, and free. This emotional growth transformed the performances into something deeper, something that touched audiences in ways they could not always explain. People often described his singing as full of heart, but they did not realize that the heart behind his music came from real emotions, real struggles, and real moments of healing. Over time, Malakai developed a quiet wisdom far beyond his age, a wisdom shaped not by comfort, but by resilience. He learned that protecting his inner peace was just as important as perfecting his vocal technique. He learned to rest when needed, to set boundaries when overwhelmed, and to surround himself with people who cared more about his well-being than his fame. These lessons shaped him into a balanced, emotionally aware young man who understood that being a performer requires not only talent, but emotional strength, mental clarity, and the courage to face the world with honesty. As he continued to grow, he realized that his story, full of struggle, love, loss, and triumph, could help others who felt alone in their own battles. This realization deepened his sense of purpose, turning his pain into power and his challenges into a guiding light for anyone searching for hope. Through this evolution, Malakai Bayoh became not only a remarkable artist, but a symbol of emotional resilience, showing the world that even in the face of hardship, a young heart can rise, heal, and inspire countless others with truth, courage, and song.